Jonathan Wachtel is Haley's former communications director at the United Nations and a current foreign policy analyst. He joins me now from New York. Jonathan, you know Nikki Haley very well. Why did she decide to make this decision now, or at least make the announcement now, just a month before the midterm elections in this country?
You know, that's a huge question. There's a lot of thought that goes into making a decision like that. I mean, even the letter that was, this resignation letter that went to the president is dated October 3rd. So, you know, this has been kept under wraps for a few days now. The letter obviously very well crafted and articulates how she feels about things as best she can relay them. It doesn't happen overnight. This wasn't a rash decision. It's a decision that's expedient on for a number of reasons, mostly for her own needs. She's a politician. She has a lot of aspiration and a lot of kick, and we'll be back. I mean, we'll see her back here in whatever way that she sees fit and is expedient as she tries to continue to serve and to be a political figure.
Ambitious with a lot of political aspirations, but I think in her resignation letter, she made it clear that she will not be running for the White House in 2020, in 2 years.
Asieh, who's been working in the administration, is going to say that they're going to run against a president who has said that he's going to run. It doesn't make any sense. So we have to see where things are as time progresses here over the next months, perhaps a year, maybe even close to 2 years. See what's shaping up in terms of what the president wants to do, what the political landscape looks like, where we're heading. And Nikki Haley can always come back and say, oh, you know, that's where I was, that was my position, but now I've been asked to come in and play a part. She may not be actively running in 2020, but let's say she's on a ticket as a vice president, or let's say she decides to become a senator back in her home state at some point. You know, there are a variety of ways that she can come up again, and we will see. And this is obviously a very personal decision on her part, and she has calculated that it's the most expedient thing to do at this time in her career.
What do you make of the fact that a number of high-level officials in the Trump administration were caught off guard by this decision, even though President Trump knew this was coming?
This is the way that Ambassador Haley operates. Very tight ship, very close-lipped. I went through it myself. I understand it. And, you know, when it's a decision such as this, with such magnitude for herself, let alone for the country and who becomes the successor, obviously, that's important too, but it's a deeply personal decision. And when that happens, the last thing you want is your personal decision to be espoused by others and misconstrued, or I mean, look at all the discussion now and people trying to figure out what's going on here. You know, who needs that when you're making a decision yourself?
So what is next for Nikki Haley, Jonathan? And before I let you go, you have to give us some inside scoop on who they're considering for Nikki Haley's replacement.
I'm happy to give you a scoop of ice cream, but I can't give you a specific on the replacement. There are a number of candidates who are out there, names such as Rick Grinnell, who's the current sitting ambassador in Germany, Dina Powell, who served on the NSC at one point, who's currently in New York, and there actually was a Twitter picture put out of her with Nikki Haley from the other day. Other people who would love to have the job. I mean, it's an impressive job. It's a tough job, but obviously a very significant job. In the case of Nikki Haley and what she does next, you know, there's a lot of open road available to her. So what is clear is her time at the UN, if you're a politician, which she is, it's a bit of a backwater. You're not as close as you would want to be to Washington necessarily, even though she was an NSC, a member of the Security Council. you know, there really comes a point, you know, if you're an ambassador who's appointed and you're a diplomat, that's one thing. You do your course of duty and you're done. But if you have aspirations and you've run your course, and there's a Secretary of State Pompeo in his position, and Ambassador Bolton in his position, as Nathan King was pointing out, your correspondent a short time ago, then what are you doing in New York after you've put in a set amount of time? You need to move on to the next phase to better position yourself.
All right, we'll leave it there. Jonathan Wachtel, thank you so much.